Well, hello, everyone. Good to be back for Wellness Wednesday with you all, the practicing the pause. Hope everyone's having a good day and that you're living well. So, how are you? How are you? Are you living well? Yeah, I'm going to share my screen today. I'm excited, like I said, to be here once again. I had some classes I had to take, I had an opportunity to take, got some training there. Really enjoyed those 2 weeks. But I did miss you all. Being here with you all here for practicing the pause. And just like we always do, we want to stay true to the name, practicing the pause. To do that, we take some time just to pause. You know, we got so much stuff going on, don't we? Are you in a hurried state? Does it feel like you're always in a hurry? Feel like you're getting stressed out? How are you? How are you? Maybe this is your first time tuning in. I am Philip Boyce. I am a peer navigator at the R3 Recovery Center here in Wilkes County with Wilkes Recovery Revolution. And I'm glad that you're here and I'm glad that you're tuning in today. And maybe you're curious about this topic of wellness. What is wellness? You know, I didn't know much about wellness, and so I decided to do the research. And each week I try to share that with the audience here and kind of share what I've found. So we're practicing the pause. What is practicing the pause? Why this title here, practicing the pause? Well, I think that's very important for us all to do. We take time each day to pause. Like I said, we can have so much going on, whether it's with family or different responsibilities or work, that we need time just to pause, just to pause. And that's what we like to do for this hour. And I try to educate and bring awareness and bring some tools to help us to do that. And so each time that I start, I like to practice the pause. And how we do that is we use breathing techniques. You know, breathing can help us to get in tune, to center ourselves, to slow us down. Maybe if you feel stressed, maybe you feel like you're out of breath, you can't catch your breath. And so this time here, just by setting aside this time to pause, can help us to rebalance, to balance out. And so we want to practice the pause. And how we do that is with our breathing. And so I invite you right now at this time to sit up tall with me, sit up tall. And I hope that you're in a quiet place, that you can get in a quiet place. Sit up tall in a quiet place where you can be free from distractions. Are you able to do that right now to practice the pause? Can you turn off any distractions that you might have? Can you set aside that time to not look at your computer screen, check your messages? I know you got to look at your screen here to participate here, but I'm talking about other things, right? Whether you're going on Google, your mind likes to wander, doesn't it? Anybody ever have trouble keeping focused? That's what we want to do. This is practicing this mindfulness. Are you practicing mindfulness? I can practice mindfulness by pouring a glass of tea. You're paying attention. You're mindful of what you're doing. You can do mindfulness with washing the dishes, whatever chores that you are, that you're focused, that you're engaged, you're mindful of what you're doing. How well are you with doing that? About staying focused. We multitaskers out there like to do a lot of different things all at once, don't we? We can have trouble just being where we're at in the moment, in the present, and practicing the pause. And so I hope that you can do that, that you can free yourself from distractions right here. Can you just take that hour out, just that hour, to practice the pause here? I invite you to do so. And I invite you to sit up tall in a quiet place. Can you get in a quiet place, free from distractions? Sit up tall in a quiet place where you can be free from distractions. And I invite you to breathe slowly with me. Let's take in some breaths. This helps us to center us. This helps us to quiet our mind, to slow down. Breathe in slowly and evenly, slowly and evenly, in and out through your nose. You do that, breathe in with me. I invite you to breathe in slowly and evenly, in and out through your nose. Let your energy settle by anchoring your attention to the breath. I invite you to soften your shoulders. You feel tense? Do you feel tense? Well, I know we're in the middle of the week, right? We're getting over the hump. Do you feel tense? Do you feel stressed out? Do you feel it in your body? Do you feel it in your shoulders? Let your energy settle by anchoring your attention to the breath and soften your shoulders. Soften your shoulder, your belly, and your thighs. And watch the breath with a sense of loving awe. So, again, I invite you to breathe in slowly and evenly, in and out through your nose. Soften your shoulders, belly, and thighs, and watch the breath with a sense of loving awe. Breathe in and breathe out. Let's do that again. Slowly and evenly. Breathe in through your nose. Out through, let's do it with your mouth this time. In through the nose. Release out through the out breath. Feel the gentle rise and fall of the body as the body breathes itself, and let yourself drop into a state of being rather than doing. Right? We're human beings. You might have, if you've been in this course before, in this class before that I teach each Wednesday, you might have heard me say that. We're human beings, not human doings. Let's be. We focus on our breath. In and then on the out breath. Feel the gentle rise and fall of the body as the body breathes itself, and let yourself drop into a state of being rather than doing. Right here, right now, just present with the breath. And as you watch the breath, of course, thoughts will still arise. The mind is energy. We've been talking about that a lot lately. The energy that flows through us. The mind is energy and always at play. The playful mind always wants to be that somewhere. It tries to get us into that human doing, doesn't it? We are human beings. We were present right here in this moment. We can steel ourselves. We can make that choice to intentionally be present, to be mindful. And so as you watch your breath, of course, your thoughts will still arise. The mind is energy and always at play. And today, as you notice these thoughts, watch them as if from a distance. You are not your thoughts, but the witness of these thoughts. It can help to visualize your thoughts as if they're clouds or bubbles. I've used the illustration of dry leaves floating down the stream, right? You're just watching them go by. Some visualize thoughts as if they're clouds or bubbles. A thought arises, it floats up and into our awareness. And then, if left alone, it will also float on by, dissipate, or burst. And so maybe some of these distractions are coming in while you're trying to be still, while you're trying to be present, while you're in the moment. And that's why we go back to our breath, right? So when those thoughts arise, when you want to build a story with some of the things that your playful mind is trying to create, go back to your breath. You know, I've used plenty of times when I close my eyes and I'm doing this breath, that if those thoughts will arise, I immediately go back. I recall what I'm doing. I can center myself by being present, by going back to my breath. In and out, an out breath. Center yourself. You find those thoughts arising, go back to your breath. We're being intentional. We're bringing awareness to our breath. We're watching the breath with a sense of loving awe. And so we stay anchored to our breath. We stay anchored to our breath as you play with awareness of this process, present with breath, but aware of thought clouds or thought bubbles that arise. Like clouds, like bubbles, Understand that these thoughts are not solid, not fixed. They take shape and they break apart. They are continuously changing shape, blown by the wind. They come and go. We cannot grasp at a cloud or a bubble, and neither is there any point in grasping to these thoughts, so let them be. Remain aware of the breath as the thoughts do their thing. Avoid chasing or following or attaching to thought. Avoid trying to stop thoughts or push them away. Remain aware of the breath, aware of this state of being and not doing, aware of thoughts but not thinking. Breathe in, breathe out. Practice lovingly allowing your thoughts to shift, change, and flow. Nothing to fight against, nothing to stop. Love your thoughts, and at the same time, let them go. Remain present right here and right now with your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Recall that you are not your thoughts, but their witness. Look upon each thought with curiosity or awe, but again and again, anchor back to the breath. Breathe awareness, present with breath. The mind is energy, and energy is always at play. It's up to you to choose which type of energy you'd like to invite in. And then simply let the rest go. Breathe in and breathe out. Identifying with the energy of stability, even breath, steadiness, peacefulness, and ease. I thank you for being present in that moment. A lot of folks, when they begin meditation, when they begin these breathing exercises, some get upset because they can't do it for a very lengthy period of time. They think I'll never be able to do it for 10 minutes. 10 minutes seems like a long time to them. 15 minutes seems like a long time, 30 minutes. But as you practice these things, this is a practice. As you practice these things, you'll be able to do it longer and longer, and you'll reap the benefits. You'll reap the benefits from doing it. You'll see that you can get calm. So, if a frustrating event arises there throughout the day, a stressful situation, you can go back to your breathing. You can practice the pause. And that's why I like to each time do this exercise. I found it helps me, right? So if I've got to, do something for a first time, whether it could be teaching a class or a course or doing something, while I'm in a situation that feels uncomfortable, if I begin with the pause, right, center myself, get back to the breath, I find I can calm myself down and be in a better position to do what needs to be done. And so that's why I like to begin with this powerful, powerful tool, this exercise that we can do, that we can utilize on a day-to-day basis. But we have to intentionally set aside that time to do it, to practice the pause. And I thank you for being present and for practicing the pause at that time. And I hope that you continue to do that, like I said, to do that during your days, to find time to do that, to practice the pause. All right, so what are we talking about today? Well, I thought today would be good, since I haven't been here for the past 2 weeks, to look at this idea of wellness. What is wellness? What thoughts come to your mind about wellness? Do you automatically think about exercise and eating right? Well, that has some to do with wellness, but wellness is so much more. And so with this class, I've been trying to show that about wellness and bring up particular topics, some specific ones. For example, we've been discussing stress, uh, the impact that stress has on our body, the way we feel, the way we react to stress. But for this time today, I would like to just review. This is new material. This is some new material that we're going to discuss today. It's a guide to wellness, but it's a good summation of what wellness is. I think we're going to touch on some things here today. We're going to look at the history of wellness and really define wellness and kind of see what that means, what it means, where the idea came from, and what that means to us. And so this is a guide to wellness that we're going to look at today. A guide to wellness. What is wellness? When I was learning about wellness, I didn't really know much about wellness at all. I might have had some thoughts that maybe some of you all had, about exercise and eating right. I kind of had that idea in mind, but I didn't know really the how much more wellness is. And we're going to take a look at some of that, where some of these ideas came from, and what that means to us about wellness. And we can look at our own lives and ask ourselves, are we living well? How are you living this week? How are you doing? How do you feel that you're managing your stress, your responsibilities? All that can go into wellness. How are you doing? Are you living well? Are you living well? Let's explore this idea of wellness. Let's get on this wellness ship and take this trip together. Let's look into wellness. Let's see what wellness looks like. This is a guide to wellness here. Let's see. So, when I was looking at this idea of wellness, for me, in my mind, when I look at something, I really want to go back all the way back to as far back as I can get with a particular idea or concept. And so I began looking at wellness. Where did wellness come from? What is this idea of wellness? Where did it come from? What does it mean? Well, I found out, when doing this research, I looked at the history of wellness, the history of wellness. Where did this idea of wellness come from? And why this emphasis on it now? It seems like wellness is more in the public eye. You hear about it some. Maybe it's on social media or on television. Maybe books. More books are being written about it, but it seems like you are starting to hear a little bit more about wellness. And so I wondered about this idea. Where did wellness come from, and why this emphasis on it now? At the Recovery Center, we use Samsha's principles on wellness. We use that there at the Recovery Center, and so that was important for me to look into. If that is the model of what we were to be using, well, I should know a lot more about it. And so I took it upon myself to begin researching, and I looked into the history of wellness, and I want to share some of that with you today. Where does this idea come from, and why this emphasis on it now? And so, without going back too far, we take a look at a few of the recent thinkers on the subject. I found out here, as you see on the screen, I found that wellness, some of the work is based out of Abraham Maslow. Maslow, maybe you've heard of him before, or Fritz Perls, or Carl Rogers, Virginia Satir, and others. I've heard of some of those. I haven't heard of all of those. And so this is, the history of some of these ideas that some of these folks began speaking about wellness. They wrote about something called self-actualization. A big word. What is self-actualization? I had no idea. Just another term, practically for wellness. Self-actualization. Define self-actualization. Through our research, my research, I discovered an important idea. This idea of self-actualization. And I take a look here about what it means. What does self actualization mean? What's it mean for us? How do we apply that? And for what I discovered through research, I found that wellness appears to be based out of these works of Abraham Maslow and Fritz Perls and Carl Rogers, Virginia Satir, and I've heard of a few of them, but I didn't know too much about them. And they wrote about this idea of self actualization. Abraham Maslow, defines self actualization by claiming that it's what a man can be, or man or woman can be, that person must be. What you can be, you must be. You probably heard of that army slogan. You've seen it on TV. Be all that you can be. It's your potential. And so, what does this have to do with recovery? Well, recovery, we begin making these changes, right? I know I needed some changes. I needed to change everything, right? When you come to recovery, you have to change everything: people, places, things, the way we think, the habits that we form. And that's why wellness is so important, because it's looking at your potential. Who you moving in to be? And I've shared this before. That you might have heard the compliment. Maybe somebody said to you, "I like who you are becoming." That's wellness in a nutshell. Who you are becoming. It's this idea of self-actualization. Be all that you can be. And Abraham Maslow is a humanistic psychologist who describes self-actualization as the process of becoming everything you are capable of becoming. Likewise, Kim Eagle, a San Diego therapist, explains it as the ability to become the best version of yourself. One tool that I like to do, that I've shared before, that I've done myself, is if you get a piece of paper. Maybe you want to do this right now. Get a piece of paper out. Right at the top of the paper, I'll give you a minute. Get a piece of paper. This is a tool that we can do right here now that I believe is very helpful. It's something that I've done. And there's power in writing things down. Power in writing things down. So I hope that you get a piece of paper out, that you get a pen or a pencil. And at the top of the paper, if you write this, and we talk about words have power, and I believe writing things down has power. And so if you get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, and at the very top of that paper, you write this down. Write these words: to better my future, I will. Research has been done and has shown that when we write things down, I think the percentages were 65 or 75% more likely to carry it out. When we speak about it, that gives us maybe 30% recall, but when we write things down, it does something. It takes root in our mind, and we're able to carry it out more so than if we were just to talk about it. So if we write down at the very top of that piece of paper, to better my future, I will. And maybe you want to come back to that, because this is something that might take some thought, right? Might take some thought, and you might get some ideas from what we're going to be learning about wellness. Some things that you would like to do to better your future. I think when we write those things down, there might be one thing, there might be two things, and be specific about them. I was sharing this tool with someone the other day, and the first thing that the person wrote for number one to better their future, they said hygiene. And I said, okay, well, be specific. What about your hygiene do you want to better? And the person put floss. I think it was maybe twice a week. Uh, Shower, whatever it might be about your hygiene. But to be specific, right? And that's just an example, right? So at this list that we're creating here, that I believe is going to be empowering, and that's going to make profound changes if you follow through with it. Is individual. This is for you. This is personal, and this is something that might require some thought. I would ask that you spend some thought, you spend some time thinking about what you can do to better your future. And this is a way we can become, right. This state of being all that you can be, this potential. And so maybe this is something that you want to write and then come back to, right? That you want to spend some time thinking about these things. The ability to become the best version of yourself, become the best you, live up to your full potential. And I think what might help, this tool that I've used before, is to write it down and watch it come to pass. I think that if we write more things down about where we want to go, we would be more apt to seeing this best version of ourselves. Become the best you. Live up to your full potential. Self actualization doesn't involve perfection or things always going smoothly. You can become self actualized and still face difficulties. How many out there has realized and have found that some of those difficulties has actually produced uh, more of your growth, right? So it could be like for me, teaching. You know, uh, uh, it's accepting opportunity. I've been asked to go somewhere and speak this weekend, and a lot of times it's by getting uncomfortable that we grow. It's by accepting some of those opportunities that might come. It's by working through that fear, getting through that uncomfortability, that you really start seeing that change. That change. So self actualization doesn't involve perfection, right? We don't just automatically, just jump into something and we're just, perfect at doing it, right? A lot of these things take practice. And so self actualization doesn't involve perfection or things are always going smoothly. You can become self actualized and still face difficulties. A huge part of self actualization is recognizing your limits. All right, so I might see that there's some things that I'd like to improve on, some things that I could work on, and so a huge part of self-actualization is recognizing your limits, in addition to focusing on your strengths. And that's so important with recovery. When I was looking at at your assets and liabilities, what are your strengths? And that's really what something we try to do at the recovery center is we try to look at recovery capital. Where is your strengths at? So it could be family, your support that you have around you. It could be transportation, it could be a job, right? Your recovery capital. What are your strengths? What are your unique strengths? What are some unique strengths that you have? Some things that you do well. You write those down. You look at your strengths there. Huge part of self actualization is recognizing your limits in addition to focusing on your unique strengths. Whether those involve practical skills, parenting, artistic talents, or emotional insights. Self actualization is a process. It's a process. It's not an end game. We're always working towards it. We're always working. It's a process we're working up to become the best self, to live up to your full potential. It's this self actualization. It's a process, not an end game. There's no single point where you should end up on the journey, just like recovery. A question that I always have to ask each day is, what am I going to do for my recovery today? What am I going to do for my recovery today? I can't live on yesterday, what I did yesterday. What am I going to do for my recovery today? Self actualization is the same thing. It's a process, not an end game. We don't graduate from it. There's no single point where you should end up on the journey. From a therapist perspective, which I'm not, self actualization is a constant work in progress. This is what Eagle says. Self actualization is a constant work in progress. In our humanness, we are never going to stay completely the same. We're always changing, right? Whether it's something that we might experience in a day or what someone might say to us or an opportunity that arises. In our humanness, we are never going to stay completely the same. Recognizing this need for continued growth is always, you guessed it, part of self actualization. Self actualization is recognizing this need for continued growth. How are you growing? How are you growing as a person? And so to summarize what we just talked about there, we looked at a little bit of the history of wellness, right? History, where this idea of human potential to be the best self, this well self wellness, where did this come from? This history of it. We looked at a few of the thinkers there, and we haven't defined what self actualization is, which could be another word really for wellness. It's this potential, becoming who you are becoming, this potential to this process of becoming what we are capable of and have the capacity to become. It's this best version of ourselves. A lot of times in recovery rooms, the recovery language that we use is that it's progress, not perfection. It's progress. What's progress? Progress is moving forward, not regress. Regress is moving backwards. Progress is moving forward. It's progress, right? We should be moving forward in our recovery journey. It's progress, not perfection, right? So, uh, if we do have this fallback, we're always looking ahead, right? There's nothing that can lie back behind us, right? Except for seeing what possible challenge that we had that we need to overcome. We should always be looking ahead, right? Where do we want to go? Where do we want to go in our recovery journey? If we did something that we tried something that didn't work, okay, let's get back on track. Let's look ahead. Let's look ahead. Where are we going? I like something else that said in the recovery rooms is we can't live life looking in the rear view mirror. If you've driven a car, you're always looking back in the rear view mirror, you're going to crash, right? So we can glance back in the rear view mirror, but we want to be focusing on where we are heading. Maybe you've driven before and you weren't paying attention. Maybe you just kind of zoned out, which I still think is a mystery, right? You ever been driving down the road and you kind of space out? You're still able to drive, right? You're still driving a car, which just boggles my mind. We can be thinking about somewhere, we can be somewhere other place, in our mind, and yet we're still driving a vehicle. But maybe you've driven before, and like I said, maybe you're spaced out, whatever it was, and you pass that exit, right? You weren't mindful of what you're doing. You're somewhere else, and that's so key about this breathing technique that we opened up with about being present, about being mindful. But maybe you've been in that situation before. You spaced out while you're driving, and then you miss your exit. And so, self actualization with wellness, we always want to be looking about where we're going, how are we growing, where are we going? This potential of becoming our best self or best version of ourselves. It's progress. We're moving forward. Progress, not perfection. We're inventorying our assets. What are your strengths, your unique strengths? We look at that, and even looking at our liabilities. What's some things that you'd like to improve on? And it's not something that we graduate from, right? We're constant work in progress. It requires change and continued growth in our part. It takes work, doesn't it? There's some things that you'd like to overcome. Maybe it's a habit or a particular behavior. It takes work, doesn't it? Wellness seems to embrace many of the principles of holism. Maybe you heard of holistic principles. Wellness seems to embrace many of the principles of holism, self actualization, and human potential. It's an approach that works with people about possibilities. It's not a pathology. Pathology is the study of the causes and effects of disease or injury. The causes or effects of disease or injury. The word pathology also refers to the study of disease in general. But with wellness, it's an approach that works with people about possibilities instead of the typical problem illness orientation. It offers what I call a possibility orientation. Now, I'll explain what that means there. So, the possibility orientation would be this: if you ask yourself this question, what if you put yourself to the task of self awareness and sensitivity? What if you laughed more? One of these past classes I taught was about laughter yoga. I kind of felt silly doing it. I kind of felt, silly about laughing, but laughing can change so much, right? Even just hearing somebody laugh can put you in a better mood. It changes the way your body functions. It helps reduce stress. So, what if you laughed more? What if you put yourself to the task of self awareness and sensitivity? This is the possibility orientation. What if you did these things? What if you laughed more? What if you really understood the way you communicate with other people, the way you breathe, the way you express feelings, make love, pray, and especially think, that all were contributing factors to the state of illness or wellness? What if? What if you practice the pause each day? What if you practice the pause as you watch this class, each week that you learn about these things. What if the possibility orientation? That's what wellness looks at. What if? It's an approach that holds a person client to be whole and complete. It's an approach that fosters insight and integration, and then personal application. That's why I look at what I teach here to always being driven back to application. So we know it, right? We bring education to it. We eat education, awareness, and tools. What do we do with what we learn? How do we make it practical? What is this application? How do we apply it to our lives? Wellness teaches us it's an approach that fosters insight and integration and then personal application. And it asks, okay, so how can you apply it to your life? It deals with the principles and methods of lifestyle change. And so to sum that up, I'm here to say that uh, this relationship that we had, this connection that we're making, it's not as if it's a patient doctor relationship, right? I'm not the doctor. I'm working on these things. I'm on this journey too. I'm learning as I go, and I'm learning to apply some of these things to my life. And I hope that we can be on this wellness ship together and take this voyage together here. Uh, I'm not here to diagnose. Rather, we're fellow explorers. That's why I love that term that we use there at the Recovery Center. I'm a recovery navigator. We are fellow explorers, exploring what it means to each one of us in our personal lives, what it means to live well. That's what's so cool about that recovery process is, it's this relationship, right? So, we can share about what we're doing in this recovery journey. How are we recovering together as fellow explorers? As peer navigator. What it means to live well. What does wellness mean to you? What are we doing in our lives to live well? We do this by looking at the possibilities. What if I laugh more? What if I practice the pause? What if you really understood the way that you communicate with other people? What if we look at the possibilities and we raise questions? We look at insight. What's the insight that each one of us has? Inside each one of us is the answers we seek. That's what's so cool too. I love about recovery is when I go and I share my story, when I talk about what I'm going through. So often that answer comes up. Have you ever noticed that when you talk about it? When you talk about it with somebody else in recovery, that you're open, right? You're vulnerable. You're open. You're honest about what you're going through, and then you even talk about some of those answers just come up. The answer that you need just by sharing it comes up. And that's so cool about insight that inside each of one of us is the answers we seek. That I can be a guide here at the recovery center, a navigator to help facilitate and foster the insight and explore the integration, how we integrate each aspect into our own lives and how we apply the insight that we have discovered. We explore lifestyle change. That's what I look at here in this practicing the pause. Lifestyle change. Aren't we making those changes in recovery? Lifestyle change. You got to get rid of the people, places, and things. We had to start thinking different. We had to develop different habits. Aren't we in the business of lifestyle change? We make that effort that we go on this journey. Lifestyle change. I love this stuff. I really do. This is wonderful stuff. Here, you ever seen this pyramid before? This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so, us at the Recovery Center, a lot of times we're looking at these needs. Where are the people that come in, on their recovery journey? What do they need? And they need things like food, water, house, right? Security and safety needs. What about belonging? What about making those connections, the support that they need? Look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maybe it's esteem needs. Maybe it's doing things. I love what I hear in the recovery rooms there too. Is if you want self-esteem, do esteemable acts. So maybe it's service, right? And maybe somebody's looking for a place to serve, where they can get involved by making those connections, by building that self-esteem. And then look at that top part, that self-actualization. It's achieving one's full potential. What recovery can be, all the joy that it can bring, that self-actualization there. We make this choice. This recovery is a choice, this wellness choice, this journey that we go on. It's wellness. It's a decision you make to move toward optimal health. I can recall, when I had to make that choice there in my own recovery journey. I've shared about this before. I believe it was at my 6 month mark. I remember being at a 12 step support group, and I remember, this. It seemed like a trap door in my mind that closed. For me, I had this decision. It's like being at a crossroads. I could either go forward with what I was doing in my recovery. I could make that constant choice, or I could go back to where I'd come from, that hellhole. And I knew I didn't want to go back. And I told myself, I've gone this far. I might keep on going. I might as well keep on going. Maybe some of y'all in recovery out there know what I'm talking about there. You make that conscious choice to go on ahead, to explore the unknown, the unfamiliar. Recovery is unfamiliar, it's unknown. I didn't know how to stay without using substances. Wellness is a choice, it's a decision that you make to move forward toward optimal health. Wellness is a way of life. That's why we're so passionate about recovery and wellness. It's a way of life, it's a lifestyle that you design to achieve your highest potential for well being. It's a process. Wellness is a process, developing awareness that there is no endpoint, but that health and happiness are possible in each moment here and now. Here again, we look at a little more detail of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Look at that. It's those physiological needs there. We talked about sleep before, haven't we? The importance of sleep, safety. One of the key components for people staying in recovery can be employment. Do you know that? We try to help people there at the Recovery Center with employment, connection. We've heard that the opposite of addiction is connection. There's some esteem there, respect. You're learning to change some behaviors. You're finding respect in the community. Isn't that so wonderful about being in recovery? Folks that used to look down on you, the community that used to write you off, they're in recovery. We change the concept. We break the stigma, don't we? Self actualization. Look at that, problem solving, acceptance. Begin living the way that we see is right. We do the next right thing. Self actualization. It's wellness journey we go on. Wellness is a balanced channeling of energy. We've talked about that in the past, that we're full of energy. We're energy. What do we do with that energy? Wellness is balanced channeling of energy. We want that energy to go into the right places. All right. We want to be able to handle that energy correctly. Wellness is balanced channeling of energy. Energy received from the environment. How many know that to be true? Maybe you've worked at a place before, and the morale is really down. It's that energy that people can spread that energy, right? If somebody is in a bad mood or whatever, and sometimes it just kind of sticks to you. If you're not careful, if you allow it to stick to you, our energy. Wellness helps us with that balanced channeling of energy. Energy that you might receive from your environment. I've talked about that before. The crucial part of your environment. That's why, when I begin these practicing with the pause, I light a candle. I get my tea out. I set out some nice, quiet, relaxing music. Energy. What's your environment look like with your energy? Your energy that you receive from your environment. Wellness is balanced channeling of energy. Energy received from the environment, transformed within you, and return to affect the world around you. How's your energy? How are you living? Wellness is the integration of body, mind, and spirit. It's that holistic, right? Holistic concept. Wellness is the integration of body, mind, and spirit. In recovery, I learned that my disease, my illness, was a three-part illness, right? Body, mind, spirit. It's physical, it's mental, it's spiritual. Three-part disease. I had a three-part illness. And so for me to stay on this recovery path, I need to consciously look at each of those parts. Wellness helps me to do that. Wellness is the integration of body, mind, and spirit. Holistic. It's the appreciation that everything you do and think and feel and believe has an impact on your state of health and the health of the world. Wow. Think about the people that you come in contact with each day, the opportunities that you have. Wellness helps us with the appreciation that everything we do and think and feel and believe has an impact on our state of health and the health of the world. Wellness is loving acceptance of yourself. You love yourself, taking care of yourself. How do we do that? Wellness helps us with that. A loving acceptance of ourselves. And so, me as a peer navigator, some recovery coach, I'm an ally to help make lasting lifestyle behavioral change. What an awesome opportunity. I'm an ally to help make lasting lifestyle behavioral change. And so I plan to go on this journey with you. I hope that you will stick and you'll stick around. You'll make sure that you are taking the time to practice the pause. I love to help you do that. So I plan to go on this journey with you, learning and applying, constantly growing and challenging myself. As an ally, I'm here to listen, to stand beside you. My agenda is your agenda. We offer mutual support. I'm here to help you find your way through the swamp that impedes your progress. The beauty of an outside perspective is this wonderful world of peer navigating and recovery coach. It's this beauty of an outside perspective. It's this wonderful world. This opportunity that we get to do at the recovery center. I love it. I love it. And so we do this by self-examination. It's a personal introspection. We look into ourselves. We do this inventory assessment. It's been brought up before. We look at our strengths and we acknowledge our strengths and we build upon them. For example, to confront our fears. We find that confidence. We build up that courage. We do things that we're not used to. We acknowledge our strengths and we build upon them to confront our fears, like recovery capital. I'll continue to share about what that means. Recovery capital could be your support system, whether it be family or friends that you have to help in your recovery journey. It could be seeing a peer navigator, peer support specialist at the recovery center. It could be the job that you have. And so you might want to find out a little more about recovery capital. I can share that as we go along. And you can come, and like I said, to the recovery center and sit down with somebody, and they can explain to you also what recovery capital is, and look and see what recovery capital that you have, and continue to grow that recovery capital. We also ask questions. You may find the answers within yourself. To benefit ourselves, we ask questions. We use tools. I come equipped with tools that help you take stock of your life and with effective methods for change. Some of the tools that I found in my life, I like to pass on. I like to share. What's helped me in my recovery journey? There's an implied agreement, acknowledging that you are ready to make those changes. And with your permission, we delve in deeper, and we push further. With your permission, that's his personal journey that you take, that you come up with. Where are you in your recovery journey? What would you like to see? What would you like to do? Like that piece of paper said at the very top, to better your future. How can we help you in your recovery? Uh, and also, what is critical, what's important, is to treat everyone that comes in that we see there with respect and compassion, while you're confronted and challenged to do your best. We're committed to action. When you're committed for action, uh, we offer help to hold yourself accountable so that you accomplish your goals in the time frame you allocate. It's so important to have that accountability in it. But you have somebody there in your corner that's cheering for you, that's rooting you on, that's there to help you there. That support is so critical. And we all need that support. People that come up alongside of you, that's coaching you, cheering you on, there in your corner, advocating. Uh, uh, and we also we stress motivation here. It's Abraham Maslow's hierarchy here, and it's motivation there. It stresses motivation. It goes beyond just gathering information and stresses motivation. It helps you find within yourself the motivation needed to initiate, sustain, and maintain change. That motivation's got to come from somewhere, doesn't it? That motivation's there inside of you to keep you going. And what's also cool as uh, peer support specialists or recovery coaches, navigators, peer navigators, is we celebrate success with you. We celebrate your successes with you. How cool is that to have somebody there that's be able to witness your progress and to celebrate your success? And so you might be asking after all this, why? Why do I need to change? Or what do I need to change? How can I change? And the why. It's for someone who's ready to change. Don't we know that someone has to be ready? For so long, people would come and they'd sit me down. I had these interventions, people pushing me to change, and I just wasn't ready. Just wasn't ready to change. This is for someone who's looking to change. Are you ready to change? It calls for readiness. It calls for a desire to change. Just as many of the 12-step programs call for a desire to stop, it calls for a call to readiness. Where are you at with your recovery? Where are you at in this wellness journey? Are you ready for change? The person must be ready for change. They must be ready for growth. It calls for an honest examination of all areas or dimensions of one's life. It's this holistic approach. We looked at the mind, body, and spirit, the physical, the emotional, and spiritual. And I think all of us could admit that there's something we would like to change, to grow at, to grow in, to get better at, to improve. And so as we continue to look at wellness, these areas of need may become more clear as we move along. Imagine you are a person who's ready to change your life. Imagine that you want to feel fulfilled in some areas that now seem wanting or even empty. While certain dimensions of your life are satisfying, even rich, others are a source of frustration at best, and increasing illness and loss at worst. Over half of what affects our health is our choice of lifestyle. The way you live your life largely determines the level of health with which you get to experience your life. The way you live your life largely determines the level of health with which you get to experience your life. There's a growing awareness that people need an ally to work with, and that wellness is a very individual and personal issue. Over half of what affects the health of a population is lifestyle choices. Wellness is for implementing effective ways of changing lifestyle behavior and making it last. People have found that having an ally who could engage them in possibility thinking, hold them accountable to complete their plans, and challenge them to be their very best selves resulted in real growth, real movement, and often career business success as well. And so I invite you to and welcome you to this wellness coaching, this recovery coaching. And coaching at its very foundation is wellness oriented. Coaching holds the client to be a whole individual responsible for his or her own choices. And according to the CTI, which is Coaching Training Institute, coaching is a powerful alliance designed to forward and enhance the lifelong process of human learning, effectiveness, and fulfillment. Work is done looking at the client's entire life. This is a holistic approach. Coaching provides a positive connection, a supportive relationship between the coach and the person who wants to make a change. That connection empowers the person being coached to recognize and to draw on his or her own innate ability and resources to make lasting changes for better health and well being. And so I hope that you would continue on this course here. I will learn more about. We'll take this journey together. I hope that you all have a good Wellness Wednesday. Thank you for tuning in to finding out a little bit more about wellness as we explore this topic and take this journey together. And feel free to come by and see us there at the Recovery Center. We're at 1907 West Park, and we invite you to come in and talk with us. Maybe some of these things that we're discussing here you like to learn more about, and you'd like to come and sit down with a peer support specialist. Come see us there at the Wellness Recovery Center, R3 Recovery Center, there at West Park Drive. We're open from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Email us, call us. Our information will be posted, and we thank you for, again, attending here and learning more about your wellness and practicing the pause with us. Again, thanks for joining in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.